after watching it, my question was, is it more socially acceptable for women or black women to interracially date than it is for black men?
I guess, who do y'all think dates outside their race more? Black men or black women? What is your thoughts on the general idea of interracial dating? I don't know. I feel like in the background I should transpose Dr. Umar right behind the
Person.
Have you ever allowed a Becky to fetishize you?
I'm a sensitive soul. I need somebody to like me for me.
How many lashes you think Umar would have gave him for that?
No, that was a great answer.
I give him about like 60. Yeah.
We mad at these black dudes for killing somebody just because they got a uniform on. What makes them any different than somebody in Chicago that's, GD versus BD?
At the end of the day, you get held to a different standard. You know what I mean? Like in the military, we got held to a different standard. You know what I mean? The consequences were much more serious for us than it would be for a civilian.
What's being highlighted is that it's not a racial issue as much as it is a systemic issue with the police force. It's not about a white person enforcing his will. It's literally the structure of how the police and the people that they recruit.
Mm-hmm. But it's more of a culture.
Yes.
It's a culture within, you know what I mean? And you can see that like being in the military. You can see there's a particular culture there as well.
It's a culture, and it's designed, and that's why I guess black people have always wanted more black people in policing to maybe change that culture. But it's but when we get black people,
they Uncle Tom's anyway.
They uphold the culture.
Yes.
And it's like when we get the black people in there, they're not trying to change it. No matter how many black people we get in into policing, that whole system is something that's not designed to make our communities better. It's designed to punish us.
Okay. I did a quick watch of You People yesterday. First, I say shit was hilarious to me. Probably one of the funnier comedies that I've seen when it comes down to like what I like, the dry humor, the wit, the sarcasm. I also think that it addressed a lot of like racial conversations head on. And with that, I think that that's a kind of good space to start maybe the conversation. I don't know, Johnny, did you see it?
So before we get into that, I'll say welcome back to the To Be Fair Show. I am your host, Johnny P.
Over here, real.
It's Q.
And we back. And I did watch You People. Thought it was good. Like I kind of left it wanting a little more, but it's probably something just personal with me.
Okay. But, you want a little bit more what?
And then it gets a comedy, so I want them just to dive deeper a little bit into issues, but then that might have taken it away from the comedy space and made it more of a...
What issue do you think that they didn't dive deep into?
The whole interracial thing about the dynamics between black people and Jewish people. I felt like they touched on it. It was real surface. They felt like it was only...
So what do you think that they didn't address?
I didn't say... I think they addressed everything. I would have liked to see them go a little deeper into it, though. That's all I said. I felt like they touched on stuff. I would have liked to see them dive a little deeper, especially when they was at the dinner table. And I felt like that scene just ended a little early without necessarily a lot of resolution. They just cut straight to the bedroom scene, and then they was just talking about it.
You think so? I thought it was interesting.
That's all. I'm just saying. I felt like they could have went just a little bit deeper, but I liked it, though.
I thought that they presented like these three sides, especially even at the dinner table, that I thought was interesting. Especially if we like go to the Farrakhan conversation. And hey, bro, we're gonna jump off the movie in a second and branch it out. But
all right.
But I thought it was interesting because to me they went with the Jewish perspective when they brought up Farrakhan and how they see him. They brought up the black perspective and how we elevate it, and then they brought up like the left liberal white person, and they're like, nah, I just like him because he's cool, and that's kind of pacifying for black people. And I thought that was an interesting way to kind of play out that entire scene.
And here's my part. I don't think they brought it back around to why Farrakhan is important to black people. They just kind of left it as, y'all like him. We don't. We feel this way. We feel, and that was just me personally. That's just a personal observation that I had of it. I'm not saying...
Oh, you wanted them to turn this into a black militant film.
Hey, I was just...
but I don't know. I felt like you had a question that branched off the film that...
No, I mean... After watching it, my question was, is it more socially acceptable for women or black women to interracially date than it is for black men to interracially date.
What you think, Real?
Well, I mean, really, I mean, to me, I think it's easier. Like black women in general get a lot more leeway than men, just in general. If you think about it, the black man dating the black woman, you know what I mean? That's been an L, and I think that like we don't like make a big fuss about it. Where do you hear, or at least I don't hear it. A lot of black men like, nigga, you shouldn't date white women. Well, nobody really even talk about that. You know what I mean? But when you see it, it's just
Hold
like,
on, wait, what?
I was gonna say Umar.
oh, Umar, do he?
Yeah,
You know what I mean?
Umar,
But
yeah,
he's
yeah, I
like,
was gonna say, yeah, don't let
who-
Umar.
Hey,
really-
guys, you shouldn't.
yeah, we don't really make it a thing. That's
I
just,
don't know.
Women have a lot more leeway to kind of go about whatever they choose. We just kind of be like, all right, that's what they own now.
Okay, I get it.
Well, I don't feel like there's not, at least not vocally. I don't see like how black men we got Umar. Like, there's not
Yeah.
the black woman equivalent to a Umar who's gonna call them out for.
But I mean, just in general, we haven't throughout time just been like, and y'all don't do this. You know what I mean? This is now a space where that's happening. They've had a lot more, even if you look at how much more acceptable it is for like women to date women. It's just like we don't make a big deal about it. Like they have a lot more free, you know, they can choose to do things a little bit differently than, you know what I mean? It's more acceptable. We accept, you know what I mean, what they, you know, the things that they choose a lot easier.
Is that because it's easier for women to not conform to the social constructs, or is it because as
Seems-
guys we feel like there's these set of rules that we have, and if we don't follow,
Maybe.
the rules set by society,
Maybe.
you get ostracized. There's
sounds like, yeah.
a lot of, sometimes it could come with financial, downfall. You get canceled. Like there's a lot of things as a guy that if you don't necessarily play into these rules that's set in front of you, the consequences. I feel like there's more to
Yeah.
lose, or not necessarily more. Everybody got stuff, but you're gonna be punished more than maybe the other side.
Huh. To make this a fair conversation, I guess one question I ask: who do y'all think dates outside their race more, black men or black women?
Huh.
To me, traditionally, it seems like black men date outside the race more.
You think so?
I don't know.
Like the majority of the relationships that I know of is usually like the other way, especially when you get into like the income play and we get into like the higher whatchamacallits, and like that's usually like one of the bigger complaints is that usually, nigga get some money. Damn, I gotta stop saying nigga. When a man gets some money, a black man gets some money, that he finds a white girl. Even the classic little Kanye West song, when you get on, he gonna leave your ass. But that's like a consistent trope in which we've seen a lot. It's not as much that I've seen and can like point to black women dating outside their race like that. It's not really like a real consistent thing that I ever see.
I don't know, to be honest, like I don't know if I even pay attention enough to really have a, you know what I mean? I don't know if like, I don't know any really interracial relationship. Oh no, I do.
To me, you can point a bunch
in an
of them.
interracial
Usually.
relationship, and he's dating a white woman. So yeah, no,
No, we know some people.
and then
It seems like it's way more normal for a black guy to do it.
I don't really. You know what I mean, I don't even think about
I know
famous
white
people and
guys
stuff.
that got black wives. And
Yeah, I know a couple, but to
You,
me,
like, several
the
things.
norm of it is usually a black guy with a white wife. That's what I've seen the most.
And so
Even when I'm
you're
at these
saying
tournaments, that's usually what it is.
And your argument is that the reason why we hear it the most is because it's the most happening. That's what you're saying.
So I was throwing out the question. I hadn't came to a resolution spot to where I was getting to, but I do think that probably is the reason. In which it's not as big of a stigma on it because I can't point to a lot of times that the black woman is getting a white guy. But then we can also take it into like a bigger conversation, and when we get into like the generational wealth, and if we go into like traditional roles, and if we're funneling the money outside of the community, it wouldn't happen with the woman. If anything, a black woman marrying a white guy would bring money into the black community. Inversely, where a white woman
in a traditional setup.
right, of course, and this is what I'm speaking from. Okay. Like if we're talking traditionally, why people would have an issue with it, where a black guy marrying and dating a white woman, typically we look at that as white people pillaging the black dollar. Like it's splitting it into into half when it comes down to the financial capabilities of what you can do and build a community between black and white. Yeah,
I mean, I would say traditionally I could get that, but if you bring it into a more modern
Okay.
aspect, that might not necessarily, be the case. Especially if you have a household, there's two incomes coming in, so it's
Okay.
not necessarily like it's a black provider and a white dependent, and they're sucking it. But if it's two providers or two, independent people, a modern relationship, it's not necessarily any side sucking away from the other side. It's both sides kind of building into one community.
Right. Well, all right. So I guess we're not really
Johnny just wanted to
disagreeing.
get his jumper out there.
Okay. All right. I'm thinking
That's all that was. I was in there thinking, I wonder where he's always the jumper.
It's just a
Shoot that
statement.
shot, please.
It's just a statement. Oh, no, no. Nah, that wasn't that. That wasn't that.
It was the jumper.
Because I don't think that you really disagreed with anything right there. And for me, I'm just speaking like traditionally where the stigma comes from, and why we probably see it a little bit more as acceptable for black women. It seems like because of they probably haven't did it at the higher rates, and then we can dig deeper on that, in which like there's a lot of maybe the word would be not stereotypes. There's a lot of stigma to black women when it comes to interracial dating that they get on whole. That you see play out and you hear inside a lot of conversations. And you hear a lot of black women bring this conversational point up a lot, where whether it's between like the beauty standards, the European beauty standards, and what's sought after, the natural inclination to believe that black women are angry, mad, all like, just all these like classic stereotypes. They usually don't, and they're not that quote unquote sought after inside that quote unquote market as well.
I was wondering if he was going to get to that point. At least that's what I hear a lot of. I don't talk to a lot of like people from other nationalities. I don't know what their preference. Of course, I understand your preference is generally yourself.
Which you are or Asian.
Yeah,
That's usually what it be.
So, yeah, I was wondering if because what they're pretty much saying is that like it's because they're like it's not that they're not sought after from other ethnicities, and that's rough. That's rough. To you know what I mean, and he just mentioned it. You know what I mean, we ain't got to go into it at all. But I was just saying that's rough. To yeah, that's rough. But I still so would you say that you disagree that it's easier for women in general or black women specifically to kind of waver from what, let's say, the norm is acceptable, easier for them to waver than it is for a black man?
Is it so? Are you asking? Is it more acceptable for them to date outside the race?
Just no. The statement I was making, my response to his question was because he asked, "What do you think is more socially acceptable for a man to date out of his race than a woman to date out of her race?" And I was saying that I believe that it was like generally women have more leeway in whatever they choose.
I mean,
Probably, I guess. Like that's so broad that it's kind of like I would then have to like go through examples of like whichever. I think, yeah, I don't know. I would probably say probably when it comes to like an overall stance. Yeah, I guess. To me, when we get back specific with the conversation, I think and what I try to illustrate is like the reasons why probably inside like this one, but I also think that they also have a harder time doing said thing than black men do.
it's probably easier.
And like that's an important nuance. Like to me, I think if you get too broad and just like say like men versus women do women and norms, like that's so broad that it's hard to like because I can go to some norms that men struggle with and it's castigated, and some norms that women struggle with and castigated, i.e., like the independent woman and shit like that. And then how the quickest conversation rebuttal that you get is like, "Have you ever heard of an independent man?" Like it's like very similar tropes that if we go in norms and stepping outside of your norms, and if you're castigated for it, we could say like there's leeway on both. But if we go specific, I say interracial, yes.
What's up, man? What you got? Come on, he hit you with some shit. What you got?
Hey,
No, I mean, I think that was a fair point. I think also what you said as far as what resonated with me as far as you said it's probably easier for a black man to date outside his race than it is
It
for a
is.
black woman. So I think that has to be accounted for
That's
as
the
far
fact.
as
No, I'm not. I'm not debating that
like,
part, but because like I say, he's absolutely probably. I would agree with the fact that it's probably more black men dating white women than there is the
oh yeah,
alternate, and then that makes sense to why the volume would be louder for
against the
that than it
men
would the
versus
latter.
the women.
That makes sense. I can definitely agree with that part.
Hey, I'm gonna turn this up real quick. Hey Johnny,
Here we go. Here we go.
hey
What's up,
Johnny,
bro?
you ever appreciated being fetishized by a Becky?
Nah, I don't appreciate being fetishized. I'm a person.
Have you ever allowed a Becky to fetishize you?
I'm a sensitive soul. I need somebody to like me for me. Uh, you
Hey,
know,
he trying to check. He trying to check them profile boxes.
I'm, I'm an empath, so like I can, yeah. If you just
You
here,
ever allowed that Becky to fetishize you before?
like I say, I'm a sensitive soul, man. I ain't in it for that. I'm not in it for that, bro.
All right,
I'm just saying, like,
I don't
and
know.
it's easy to tell though. Like when a motherfucker just try to put you in a box or tell you, you know, you supposed to do this because of who you are, and it's a lack of freedom, you know, when they put you in that fetishization because they want you to act like a certain way, they want you to
Oh,
say
yeah,
a
yeah.
certain shit, do a certain shit, wear a certain type of clothing, and in the moment you try to break out that mold, and it's like, oh well, you're not really, or it comes a lot of other, you know, it's that castization, you know, you're not really black, or you're something's wrong with you,
So
you know,
what you
for not
saying is,
fitting into that mold.
so what you saying is that you had a Becky that wore the pants and you wasn't being a traditional nigga?
No, I ain't never dated no Becky.
Oh, okay. Just wanted to make sure. I ain't
Nah.
know.
Yeah, it sounded like it sounded like he had some experience in the. You know what I
It
mean?
did. He
I'm
said
just saying.
once I showed her that I was intelligent, she ain't fuck with me no
Yeah,
more.
it
Hey, I
sounded like
mean,
he was
nah,
talking from
I
a
ain't
deep
never.
place.
Yeah,
Let
yeah.
me check my resume. I
I
ain't.
don't know. So I guess if I was
Hey, bro,
to,
hey, you need to chill out, bro.
so so if
Oh, whatever.
if I
Whatever. I ain't mad at it. You know what I mean? I ain't mad at it. My truth
if I
is
was
my
to push
truth.
this a little bit further, I don't know. I guess we can go down the line. What is your thoughts on the general idea of interracial dating? Are you for it, against it? I don't know. I feel like in the background I should transpose Dr. Umar right behind us
Oh yeah, you gotta be
for
careful.
this.
And something he got some lashes for somebody. My boy got some lashes
Yeah.
for somebody.
I mean, I said all of that, but I still believe in individual freedom for Black people. So I'm not in the business of telling anybody what they can or can't do. I think there's certain things that are better for the community. If you want a strong community, I think there's certain things that are obvious as far as keeping the money within people that look like us, and you know the type of empathy and understanding you're gonna get from somebody that looks like you. I think that's important, but at the same time, I'm not God, I don't judge. I'm not trying to tell anybody how they supposed to live their life. I'm all about Black freedom. So you can do what you want to do, but you know what's best. You know what's best, but I ain't tell nobody what they can or can't do.
How many lashes you think Umar would have gave him for that?
No, that was a great
Man, I
answer.
probably about 10. I give him about like 60 because he
60.
yeah
You motherfucker ain't giving me no lashes. Man, fuck that.
because he toe tapped the line. That's all he did. He just did this.
Exactly. He
That's
just
all he
kept
did.
doing this.
Hey, that man can.
I'm for
Nah,
individual freedom,
Yeah.
but
I am.
also you know what you should do. But if you don't do it, I don't care. But
I
you
ain't,
know,
I ain't the police. I ain't finna. I
what you
ain't the
think?
guy. I ain't
What you think,
judge. I
Real?
ain't finna tell nobody what
I
they.
would say we talking about for us for as a singular person, me
I own
specifically.
personal opinion on it.
Yeah, that's why I want to make sure I had to bring it back. I ain't know because his comment, the way he answered it, I ain't know. Well, was we talk about for the world or what? Or was you asking me a direct question?
Yeah,
But
how
I'd
do you
say
personally feel about it, then?
personally, me myself, I wouldn't date. I'm cool. I'm gonna stay with the black woman, even though it does come with or based on your vetting process and which one you pick, it could you'll have certain hurdles to kind of go. But I'm with it. You know what I mean? I think that and especially like me having dated someone that wasn't like African American for an extended period of time, I realized that there are some commonalities that just aren't there. There's a bit of the understanding that just isn't all the way there. You know what I mean? And those it would be much more, I guess, I could see where it could be easier and yeah, just having a certain connection that that derive from history, and then just having I've had scenarios where somebody may say something about being black people, and it's like coming from you. You know what I mean? It make me feel differently than it would if a black if Mo, you know what I mean? If she was black and she was calling us out on something, you know what I mean? And I'm
Yeah.
like I say, I feel like we got a lot of work to do. But at the same time, it does make you feel a little bit different. You know what I mean? To have somebody else telling you and talking about you and your people.
Got you.
You know what I mean? So yeah, I would definitely.
So you saying it's not okay to date white women?
I ain't saying it's not okay. He's talking about my preference. Is what we're talking about, Johnny.
So
You were talking about the
don't
world. He
you
asked a
don't
specific
so
question to
you
a
don't think
singular
it's
individual.
so you don't think it's okay to date white women?
I just asked. I don't think it's okay for me.
All right, so I'm gonna go in, and I can speak for the world and for me. So my opinion would be branched off my belief system, in which for me, no, I think that if I was to encourage anything, it would be specifically for black people, specifically for me. I'm going to marry and have black kids. I am for the promotion of the black family structure, and I'm pushing for the promotion of the black family, the black community, and generational wealth within us. To me, that is done by dating black, keeping the black dollar circulating within the black community, building really strong black infrastructure. And to me, the only way that is done is, again, you can look around and see all the other communities, especially the immigrant communities and what they do. They build within their own community and have that dollar, have that culture, have yeah. You can kind of use a bunch of different little buzzwords, but in essence, it starts with the man and woman and the child and the nuclear family being that of the similar culture, similar whatever. And for me, I think that again, I've never dated outside my race. Again, you know, love white women, love Asian women, love Hispanic women, but it's not my preference. My preference specifically is black. And I think that on a community level, it is important for black people to stay with black people and prosper the black family. Yeah, it's kind of about the best way I can kind of put it. I don't know.
I think that's a
I
good
don't know
answer.
why I'm all over the place right now. I don't know. I feel silly as hell. The antsy as hell is funny. But
Hey,
yeah.
nah, you better barking up the wrong tree, man.
Oh, you feel like you been attacked?
Nah, I'm not at all. I'm good. I'm
Oh,
just saying. I'm just saying. I know you, bro. I
say
know
you
you.
barking up the wrong tree.
I know you,
Bro,
bro.
you ain't gonna bother me. Look, the thing is that I swear to God, there's nothing that could come out on this joke that I wouldn't care about, that I would care about being said.
Well, since you said that,
What's up?
no, fuck 'em. Johnny, we putting the pin in it, or we still rolling?
I think that's a good place to put a pin in it.
I don't know, Johnny. I think this would be a good little segue for you to go into our meme of the week conversation. I think it might kind of branch off from the most recent Tyre situation that just happened. I don't know. I'll let you take it away.
Oh yeah, nah, definitely. One of those moments in the culture for sure. As far as it's, times when shit like this go down, the Tyre Nichols thing, it gives us an opportunity to reflect. Not only what they doing to us, but sometimes it's about what we doing to ourselves. And I got a meme here. I'll start with this, and we can kind of break it down, unpack it a little bit, and then I
Okay.
have another one later. But it says we're gonna protest 5 black men killing another black man while wearing police uniforms. We must also protest black men when they make music celebrating the killing of black men in the hood. You can't glorify murder and protest it at the same time. It makes no sense. And and that's one of those ones where I joke about the death music a lot as far as what we doing, to each other. As far as there's certain accountability that we gotta have towards self. Uh, I don't know. It's just a lot. It's been a week. I ain't watched the video for obvious reasons or not, but it's definitely something that's been a little bit triggering. Kind of actually had me a little bit off of social media a little bit trying to avoid the video because there ain't really something I'm too keen on just seeing Black Death. You know, I'm
Yeah.
kind of sensitive to that. I don't wanna, and it poisons your mind too. You get used to it. You know, you don't wanna. You can't watch that shit, man. It's just bad for the mental. But yeah, I mean, it has to have some consistency. You know, we can't be up here talking about smoking ops and the Lil Durks and all of that. We know Lil Durk doing better. He said he ain't mentioning dead people in his music no more. So that's a start. But it has to be more. You know, it can't just be. I'm not gonna say dead people no more after
Yeah.
motherfuckers then got killed because of gang violence and shit. You know, just not mentioning them ain't really solving the problem. We have to dive a little deeper, but I don't
And
know. That's just kind of my initial thoughts on it. I'll kick to y'all and see.
so I guess I want to ask you a question dealing with your initial thoughts. Do you think that they should both hold similar, I don't know, similar leverage? I don't know if the word is leverage. Like similar weight. There we go. Do you think that they both should hold similar weight?
Yeah, I mean, we mad at these black dudes for killing somebody just because they got a uniform on. What makes them any different than somebody in Chicago that's, GD versus BD?
I think that
I
makes it
think,
really big difference.
yeah, all right. So you got it.
I think that makes a really big difference.
I mean, does it
Especially when
though?
yeah, it does. See, I mean, because when you add the actual badge, then it takes it a step beyond blackness. So
Yep.
I'm not.
And we're
I still
paying for
agree
that with
with
our
the.
tax dollars.
Say it again.
No, I'm agreeing with you in which, like, that there, to me, I think it should be weighted differently for sure because of these are servants of us because of we're paying for their salary with our
Exactly.
tax
We're
dollars.
paying them to protect and serve the community, and you know what I mean. They're doing what the rappers are doing. You know what I mean. That makes it a big difference to me. I think that at the end of the day, you get held to a different standard. You know what I mean. Like in the military, we got held to a different standard. You know what I mean. The consequences were much more serious for us than it would be for a civilian, and
I
so
mean,
that's because you have you got an oath.
can I push back on that?
Yeah,
I mean, when
absolutely.
it comes to killing black people, like how low the standard gotta be though. I mean, it's like you're still killing a black man. Like I don't think that shit should be acceptable in no space.
Oh no, 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 no,
Well,
no!
I
So,
think
Definitely
we
not
agree with
acceptable.
that.
Yeah, no, we wouldn't
but
definitely.
and I get, yeah, it's probably worse for a cop. But as far as we looking at the bottom end killing the black man, that shit's not acceptable no matter who it is. And I understand, yeah, so
Agreed.
police officers should have more consequences behind it because you're a police officer. But it's still at the end of the day, it's another black man dead.
Yeah,
And
Yeah, I think that's
that's
agreeable.
that's the scary part about it, or that's the part
Yeah.
that can be triggering as far as it's like how much like we just can. It's just Black Death is something. It's commoditized.
you know something that was crazy
Black
to
death
me.
is
Like, of course, like I
commoditized.
said, I didn't watch it either. I've been stopped watching these videos with the police brutality or people killing people in general. I don't watch any of those types of videos because I already could tell early on like that ain't it don't sit well with me. It just doesn't. And so. But one thing that I found crazy is the whole. Did you hear about? Because I was the police chief. I watched her. It's a black police chief,
Hmm.
a black female police chief, and I watched her kind of speak on the network, and they mentioned the fact that he would pretty much cried out for his mom, and they were saying like 29-year-old, you know what I mean, black
He
man
was close to
crying
his
out
mama's
for his
house. I
mom,
think he was 100 yards
and it
away or
was
so.
but the same thing they said about the George Floyd thing, that he was crying, he ended up crying out for his mom, and that stood out to me for some reason, and that's crazy, like. You know what I mean? The police are literally killing these boys and men, and they gotten them to a place mentally where crying out for their mom is a thing that they. And I'm saying, but they make sure to. Well, I mean, they mentioned that on both times they kind of made sure that that was a thing, that was a talking piece. I'm not saying that I'm not like coming up with a conspiracy with the media or anything like that, but I wonder like what it is about that they keep making sure that to
I mean,
to
I think
provide
that
to us.
that
That's like
goes.
another level of like, you know what I mean? That makes it even worse. Like what are you?
I think that plays into the black woman though, as
Yeah,
far as
I think that to me that's what I see out of it. I don't
And he
think
said
of
it plays into the black women.
men, like black men supporting and needing the black woman
Oh, okay,
more
okay,
so
okay.
than other races.
Okay, my whole thing is I kind of more like agree with the sentiment you're kind of getting to, real, as far as like how is it that every single time that a black person gets killed by the police, or every time that we see it, as a matter of fact, there is a whole Hollywood publication of it. Like they have all of the camera angles. They got like 50 different camera angles of what happened. There's a whole script, all the details behind what happened, almost like it sound like a script.
Well, you know why? Because it make money.
I
The
think it's
news
more.
do.
I think it's more so. I think it goes more to that though. And I keep saying this. I think that we are the people of influence. So like whatever. I think like anytime that we see these police killings go on or whatever, where they're being publicized, a lot of what happens is like after the police killings happen, there or even during the police killings while it's being publicized on television and everything, there's other stuff going on in the background. There are laws being put in place that go against us. There's a lot of stuff going on in the background that we don't even pay attention to during those time periods. So the fact that there is always a Hollywood scene, and being an artist myself and having worked on making videos, and I mean y'all even see like we're all familiar with making videos. We all know that anything in a video is purposefully put there. So it's like they always purposefully or everything is always recorded to a T like a Hollywood production. I kind of think it's something to that.
Well, I will say too, that they in Memphis, they were saying that they have like the cameras are like everywhere. They got like
Well,
pole
I think
cameras.
one of
and
the
stuff.
cameras, one of the cameras of the thing was from. It looked like a street. I didn't watch it, but I saw like the.
Yeah, it was a
Still,
pole camera.
it looked like it was a street cam or red light camera or something.
Okay, so my question, that's all fine and dandy. Where is the full Hollywood length of the Mexicans who getting killed by the police, or the white people that's getting killed by the police?
I mean, but Tone,
Or
I see, I get what you're saying, bro, but it's us, and we know why they do that because it's our death. Like it means, like
It's commoditized.
we're the people of influence, like you say. So when it's one of us that died, you could put it on TV,
so you
and people
think that
gonna,
they're
but people gonna watch it.
so
It's
you
gonna,
think that they're putting it on TV, just us because we're such a special people that they need to keep putting it on TV
yes.
for us to see.
But
Okay,
it ain't just for us;
so
it's for
what is
everybody.
what is it about us that is so special that we need to keep seeing our people being killed by the police?
It ain't us. We don't need to quit saying. That's why we don't watch it. But
No,
it's for
but
everybody else.
I'm answering the question. So even if it is you saying it's for everybody else, we all see this. Kids are seeing this. You don't see nobody else. So what is that saying? What do you think that's saying to our people?
You know what it's saying. Like I mean, I agree with you, bro. I'm not disagreeing, but I'm trying to get against the answer. I'm saying is, it's because it's a if we come together and we unite, and it's a lot of power, it's a lot of magic amongst black people. So they push that stuff and put it on the news and stuff to keep us from like that self-actualization of that power. It's designed to keep us. It's designed to keep us depressed. It's
You saying
designed.
like to show that we still. This is what your result will be if.
Right, and I think to me
Right.
like that's
Okay,
more so
okay.
like
That's what
the
I'm
easy and
saying.
rational.
It's by design.
I can see.
And
But I
it's
can't say that
profitable.
to something to his point too. I did when I can't remember exactly what was going on. Which it's great, so many of them that you can start not even remember which one. You know what I mean? But I was looking at the subtitles or not the subtitles, but
Captions.
at the bottom of the screen while they're actually running
The little ticker.
the ticker. The ticker. And in those moments, there is definitely some important things that go on. You know what I mean? That are down there while they're talking about the killing as well. So I can't say that I've seen that myself.
Oh,
You know
yeah.
what I mean? While they're telling this story and broadcasting this thing, that down there they're talking about this law that just went through
Well, I
it.
think it could be twofold, though. I think it could be designed to also keep us down and to keep us distracted from actual like real life. Like I mean, I think it is funny that like every so often it's one that blows up, but I don't think the police stop killing motherfuckers when the shit don't blow up. So it's like, why do they blow certain ones up? Because the police kill people all year.
Yeah, and see that's the thing.
They
It's like,
kill
but
people
is it about timing?
365.
And that's the thing. That's what I'm at. So like, even based on what Tone's saying, and I'm not a conspiracy theorist, but in which I don't say that in any negative connotation.
It's not a conspiracy. It's
Yeah, but I'm talking about.
But it's also okay to like dive into conspiracy land because a lot of times conspiracies get
validated. It's
validated.
true,
Oh, no, they do.
I
They do.
don't think it.
I just
think it's okay
don't.
to exercise free thought.
Yeah, so that's more of it's, I agree 100%. So it's just I just being an open thinking. You know what I mean? You're just looking at all both sides of the coin and the side, the spine, and all that shit too. But yeah, it's crazy. Like you said, it ain't like they just stop. But then when you do see one that gets the big, you know what I mean, national news, it's like I wonder if this is like them picking this time frame based on something else
That's happening.
something else that's happening. I
Well,
wonder if that could be the case.
I get like it's like 3 points. Hopefully, I can stay together to hit on all of them. In which I think I think one, Black Death is commoditized. So like that gives like one of the early like easy answers in which two things can be true. I do think that it is always interesting in the fact that there is big legislation that is pushed through, and this can be seen with like multiple things. Like even if you look at what I forget the whole little race thing in school bill that they was trying to pass, but typically a lot of things that sound good or doesn't sound good, they're not being held up because of like what the big thing is. It's all the under shit that they're trying to push through with it, and that's what I mean. Same difference, right? In which I think the word might be opportunistic, where are these times also used opportunistically
Right.
by like whether it's legislation or whoever you might say the powers may be. I agree. I think that if it's happened enough to where that it's not really something that you have to like really question.
pattern.
But
Just makes
the pattern
sense.
is there.
right. But and that's where I think that two things can be true at the same time. Where I also think that commoditizing the Black Death is big right now. CNN, Fox, they're going to get all the views, and they're going to be able to pump their revenue dollars through it. They're going to have a bunch of people come speak about it. They're going to show the protests, and everybody's going to be updated. This drives traffic directly to their business. It makes sense.
Right.
I also would say that the third thing would be I guess it's 4 points then. The third thing would be do white and Hispanic people, like we speak to like the idea of like Black life and if it's valued or undervalued, do they actually get beat inside these manners in which like you got 5 to 7 guys holding them up and kicking and doing all kind of shit? I don't know. So if it is true that these happen, I would like to see it just so I can get a better scope on the fact of like it's isolated to Black people or it's not isolated to Black people.
I've seen a white guy get beat. It's this cop page I follow because I like to disagree with him.
Is it a consistent thing though? Like in a manner in which Black people are slain and whatchamacallit?
No, it's definitely not consistent, but it has happened.
Man,
Okay, I believe that it happens.
Before they cancel cops, we seen that all the time.
It was just white people.
We seen white people getting their ass beat on there all the time.
Yeah,
Okay, so just making sure that I'm clear. They was getting their ass beat at the level of a George
I don't know if
Floyd,
it's at the level
of a Tyre, or if we're talking about like
see them
general.
getting their ass, but cops. That was something that everybody
I
used to
think,
watch.
and, and that's what I'm saying. Like we're not talking about the idea of like like a Black person just getting roughed up inside a cop manner. It's getting roughed up into where your spine is broken.
To the point of death.
You're roughed up until you can't breathe and you're calling out for your mama. You're roughed up until like you're beaten to a pulp. Like I can't necessarily say that I've ever seen that or I've heard about that inside like these other demographics to where we can go into the whole like idea of the Mandingo and the big warrior and the Black woman and why like she is her mortality rate inside hospitals is so high. I mean, or immortality, however you put it, because of they expect that we can take way more pain. Like that's the assumption about Black people and Black skin. Like that's the cultural assumption, and you see it play out with Black women and Black men inside different capacities, but it's consistent. Sure. And then the last one that I would leave the question with is if we're speaking about the idea, and this would be like a far right point, and not saying that I stand on it or I don't. I mean, I do or don't. But the actual consistency and percentage of brutality to Black people when it comes down to the police, is it as high as it is dramatized? And is more so the idea that truthfully, like these are outliers and what we need to focus on more, this would be Charleston White, would be Black on Black. And like us killing each other because that's what is like kind of pushed under the rug, but is way more prevalent.
Right. And
No,
that's why the post itself, because the post was pretty much, pitting that same idea. And I think that like you said earlier, I don't believe that it's the same. It's on the same level, the cops versus us doing. But I definitely, I pretty much, I ain't listened to really deaf music in like, it's been about a month and a half now, on purpose. You know what I mean? Just because, like, at this point, bro, I don't even feel good giving them the extra view, which is making you make money off of the things that you're sitting here pushing out into the community. At some point, it's like, bro, that's a damn enough, bro.
and
That's enough, bro. And then when you see, and you can, like, I remember like time periods where everybody just wasn't listening to it. You know what I mean? But now everybody is listening to this like nonstop. You will hear a lot of people that's just literally,
desensitize you to it.
yeah. It's like the same thing with the killings. Like we're literally hearing and watching Black Death over and over and over multiple times a day, and it comes a point where, man, you really have to unplug from that shit, man. At least for me, I had to. I ain't saying everybody got to, but I wish everybody would. So then we can, you know what I mean? I think that's just listening and watching and hearing death all the time.
Yeah, and I'll say like what you were saying about the cops. I don't know if it's more prevalent than like what's going on in our community, but like I said, they pick and choose the things they pick and choose for a reason. So whether like black people are beat at the same rate as white people, they're gonna only show the black people get beat for a specific reason, and we know why. When it comes down to whether black on black is thing, here's one thing I wanted to touch about as far as just like we always say that we want black people to police our communities because it's gonna be better for us.
But then you look at
But
that.
then when these black people come and they kill us in our community based on, it's like that's the part where I just get stuck at, as far as like how are we going to like what is it about us that makes us want to hurt each other?
Right. Well, all right. So, before you pivot to that, because I think that's a pivot from like the question you asked. I think that the issue is what's being highlighted is that it's not a racial issue as much as it is a systemic issue with the police force, right? In which it's not about a white person enforcing his will. It's literally the structure of how the police and the people that they recruit kind of goes into it. In which,
I got a
before
little
you
bit-
get into
well,
it, I guess.
Well,
I'll go ahead.
I got a little bit of just a critique. It ain't necessarily about the police force necessarily. They're gonna do what they're gonna do. It's the media coverage of the police force, as far as why do they only show the black guy getting beat when we know it's white people getting beat?
Well, my thing is, I personally don't like. I personally don't know if white guys get beat the same way that we do. And like again,
But they do.
if they,
But bro,
I would love to.
They-
Like
they
all
do.
I'm asking is the fact, like, show me the examples of that.
there's no Hollywood productions of that, and that was my whole point a minute ago.
I can,
There's no
like I said,
Hollywood
I can show you. I don't know if it's the
No,
statistics, but I'm not criticizing the police and how they do that. Like it's what I'm criticizing, the media coverage of it, because the police make.
But we know how the media is going to do. We like to me, like
That's all money. That's money.
we clearly understand why the media would do that, and why it's highlighted. My thing is that.
Well, not all money, but yeah.
My thing is that in general, it seems like there is like if we're looking to fix the problem, the system like it comes down to policing more than it is like, oh, they're racist cops. It seems like the structure of how policing is set up. And what I think that for me, the solution to this is like we've heard the defund the shit. I think we have to fund more of the police so that we get better candidates.
Right.
I
Obviously,
agree
we
with
are
that.
getting bad candidates
agree with that.
inside this structure. And of course, like there is some change that needs to happen with like just the police structure in itself.
No, I agree
but
with that.
I think
agree
in
with that.
general, like once we make it to where like police officers and teachers aren't the lowest paid motherfuckers that are doing a dangerous job, and then we actually put it to where like people that have a PhD would be incentivized.
But people that actually have talent are incentivized to go do it.
Right. I mean, I don't know if talent is the word,
Or
because of like
character.
talented,
Character.
like the ignorant football player that got CTE is the most talented to go run, catch, and shoot niggas. But they don't think the best.
Well, maybe character.
Right, and there we go.
Character.
And I think that being able to set up a system in which it is valued higher to be a police officer would probably help solve a lot of these ills.
No, that's true.
Because we have, like, what it comes down to, fuck black, fuck white. We have power hungry people with low character that are executing
That's never
black
had
men.
power.
That's really
That's
what it
never
is.
had authority to
Yes.
begin with.
Yeah.
One thing I always say to this, as for how we get better police officers, I think police officers should be required to have a 4-year degree. I don't think you should just.
But you got to pay more.
Okay,
for that.
can I ask
Yeah,
a question?
I'm cool with
Can
that.
I ask a question real
But-
quick while y'all are saying this? Like, do y'all believe that majority of police officers are more so like on the racial side of things, or like they hate black people, or do you think most police officers are out here doing their jobs?
I don't
I think
they,
most of them are just doing their job.
Yeah,
I don't think
and see,
they-
that's the thing.
I don't think they hate black people. I just think
I
they.
don't think it's a. And see, that's what and Quint just pretty much went over that. It's not necessarily a racist dynamic that's like. It's not necessarily that these.
Is his name
police
Freddie Gray?
officers-
Freddie Gray was black people that
I
broke
was
his spine.
just about to say something about him too.
Yeah, so it's not necessarily a race thing. So to the point to where it's like these police officers hate black people, but it's more of a culture.
Yes.
It's a culture within. You know what I mean? And you can see that like being in the military. You can see there's a particular culture there as well.
That's the word.
When you start having that structure with this rank system, and you know what I mean, and you can see that culture. It actually.
Promotes it.
Yeah, it promotes it, and then that aggressiveness, that you know what I mean, that underlying aggressiveness that just comes from the culture of the actual profession. And the thing too that they were saying is that they were trying to figure out, okay, y'all got all of these poll cameras and stuff. So what actually led to them? Because they said they pretty much once they got to them, they was already at 10. They was already going ham like immediately. So what actually led to this,
Right.
the attitude to come with this reckless driving?
Don't worry, I'm sure Candace Owens and that the black police officer, he gonna let us know very soon. But to me, no matter what the antecedent was, I don't think that 60 minutes of beating a nigga ass is.
Oh no, that's
no,
not what I was
none of
saying.
that,
No,
right.
what I just only thing I'm
No,
saying
I
is-
get what you're saying, though.
Yeah, just purely wanting because like why are y'all so you know what I
And
mean?
that is
and then
also
that's like a
that
gang beating. That's a gang beating.
Yeah, yeah.
You know what I mean?
And one thing I'll say too, as far as like, it's a culture, and it's design, and that's why I guess black people have always wanted more black people in policing to maybe change that culture. But it's
But
like,
also,
but when we
you
get
gotta
black
think
people,
Most
about
of them
this
black
too.
people beat
They
fucking Uncle Tom's anyway.
they uphold the culture.
Yes.
And it's like when we get the black people in there, they're not trying to change it. They just want to uphold it
And then just-
to get their power.
Think about this too, like the difference between the how many of those white officers you done seen get called pussy ass nigga. Well, excuse my my language, but I'm just proving a point here. When you can talk to them a specific way, but we internalize that shit differently.
Oh, we
internalize that shit differently. All the thing it take for you to call me a bitch ass nigga,
And then the cop gonna go crazy.
Yeah, and I already want to touch a nigga anyway. I woke up this morning ready to touch a nigga. Wife at the crib talking crazy. Kids ain't, you know what I mean? Then you got this black dude sitting here acting like he can whoop me. But I'm gonna show you something. You
I'm
know what I
paying
mean?
my bills because I don't get paid enough.
then-
Yeah, and I don't get paid enough.
I got
Yeah.
mad angst.
And here's another one too that I'm gonna give y'all as far as like when it comes down to these things. It was a Joe Rogan podcast I was listening to last night, and they was breaking down about as far as like if you look at policing, it's not designed to stop crime. It's not designed to make
No,
the
it's
community
reactionary.
better. It's designed because you look. It's these same neighborhoods that have had the same amount of crime for 20, 30, 40 years, and it's like they know how to stop crime in Ballantyne. Motherfuckers get to breaking into cars in Ballantyne. They already know what to do. And that shit is stopped by next week if they
Facts.
wanted to stop crime.
Facts.
So it's like, how come in these certain neighborhoods they act like they don't know how to stop crime or they don't have the resources to make the crime? Like, y'all know what to do, but it's just, it's a system, it's a culture, and it's a culture that's designed to take advantage of one specific group of people.
Yeah, no.
and it's built all the way around of taking advantage and disenfranchising this one set of people. So it's not even about the police are there to help black people. No, they there to take black people to jail, to feed the private prison, the profitable prison systems. You know, it's designed to for the police to meet their quotas. It's designed for police to have. It's not designed to make our communities better. No matter how many black people we get into policing, that whole system is something that's not designed to make our communities better. It's designed to punish us.
Okay, so do you think we'd be better off without the police?
Black
No.
people would be.
No,
I think we have to have some
Disagree.
kind of. I
I
think
ain't
we have to
going.
have some kind of civil service, but the actual police, the way it is today, we don't need that.
And I understand what
all
you're
right,
saying, and I agree a bit on that. But let's not go too
he asked the
extreme with
word
it.
police.
Yeah,
Like you use
that's what I'm
policing.
saying. You're saying, yeah.
Like there's a big difference between like saying we need to reform the way policing happens, and the question that he asked was that, do you think that we'll be better off without police? And I don't think that we'll be better off without police. No, I
No.
don't
At
think
all.
that.
No, the thing is, as a law-abiding citizen, I need to be able to call them.
I think you'll be surprised. I
If
think
it's
you'll
going
be
left,
surprised.
no, hey, y'all
No,
come
I
get
don't
this.
think we're
I don't think
surprised.
they
I think there are a lot of deplorable people across the spectrum. Black, white, Mexican, across the spectrum, there is a lot of deplorable people
Agreed.
in every single group, including cops. There, for the most part, the reason I asked a minute ago, do you think cops for the most part do their job, is because just like any other group, you have deplorable cops, then you have cops for the most part that are doing their job. The other part that comes in for us is we got to start taking accountability for the shit that's going on in our neighborhood before some event comes up where somebody else tells us to take accountability for it. Like when listen to what I'm saying. Hear what I'm saying. When the same way this thing happened with these cops, if they wouldn't have had no badges, nobody would have cared. This shit happened in our neighborhood every day. Nobody would have said a word. Nobody would have cared, and it just would have been another black person who got their ass beat down in the streets. What I'm saying is we have to care before it gets to that point. Like if we don't care, like we don't care as a people, so who else gonna care?
Yeah, I don't think nobody's disagreeing with that part. I mean, the idea that we need to.
Because I think y'all disagreeing. Y'all know I'm just passionate. I'm just talking. I don't think y'all.
But no, I agree with that. I mean, like I've been said, like I don't listen to deaf music because, like, I agree with that part. Black people got to be better, and there's certain closed doors conversations we got to have with each other. But we're talking specifically about the way policing is set up in America right now. It's not something that is beneficial to black people. It's not something that helps our communities. They've been in our communities for 40 years. The crime is the fucking same. Why are they there? If they're not reducing crime,
So
they just sending niggas to jail. I mean, they sending black people to jail. So my thing is, you can reform the system to where there is something that actually benefits the community. The way it's set up now is a detriment to the community.
Let me ask you this: are they just sending black people to jail, or are black people not doing crime?
Black people send the crime, but okay, but then why aren't they getting to the root of the issue? Why do you keep on sending police there? Police aren't solving the issue. There's bigger issues.
It's not their job to get to the root of the issue of our people.
But then police are just taking advantage. If there's an issue there and you not solving it, but you just sending police there to take advantage, but they're just taking advantage.
Look at this too, though. I can understand
That's all I'm
point,
saying.
but hold on. Look at this. If you think about it, is it their job to prevent crime?
Yes.
No, it's
It's not their job to prevent crime. It's their job to respond to
So
crime.
how come they put out like if you go into a neighborhood that they had them big ass police towers up there? What is that designed to do?
Bro, if you keep breaking in my house,
to deter people from.
No, I get you, but that's the reason why you don't see those everywhere. That's the reason why you don't see them everywhere. Because that's not their
the part of
job.
their repertoire is to deter people from committing crime.
But it also all right. So one, it's also impossible for them to police all people unless we get into a Big Brother situation.
Yeah.
And there's like cameras on every corner, and you see every single person. And closer to what like a dictatorship inside China and whatchamacallit looks like, where you have like the social credit score and every single thing that you do. I think that in America we probably don't want that. The reality is that we do have the freedom of movement in which at any point anybody can do any crime. Like the police towers, to what your example would, those are typically inside high crime areas, like a supermarket, whatever, where there's a bunch of things that's happening, to where you want to be able to at least put some level of prevention there. I think it's literally impossible outside of a Big Brother scenario for us to prevent all crime.
For sure.
So what you would have to go to would be preventing the things that lead to crime, which is poverty. Which is people being underprivileged and not having resources. That's the real prevention part. And education.
It's not the police, and that's
Okay, but I'm not blaming the police, but I'm saying if you know how to solve something in the issue, why would you keep on sending police there instead of actually?
Well, because they're doing, like, in essence, they will be doing their job. It would, like, so then you have to get out of blaming the police.
Yeah.
I'm not
No,
blaming
but
the
you
police.
were.
I'm not blaming the police. I'm saying
You were
there's
just
the
saying that
issue.
it's their job to prevent. It's not that.
But how you gonna say I'm not blaming the police, but then say they're the issue?
Well, no, I'm saying,
Right.
I think they're a tool.
No,
Somebody
but-
could shoot you with a gun. Did the gun kill you, or did the person pulling the trigger kill you?
Right. All right. So we
That's
have
all
to
I'm
be
saying.
we have to be able to have like conversations in sections and be able to differentiate the sections.
I get y'all. I'm just
No,
trying to-
but you're blending sections, and that's what I'm saying. Is that do we think that policing in itself can be reformed? Yes. I think we all agree on that. So when we take the step forward and we say prevention, we like that becomes a different conversation because it's not
It's
on the job,
community-based.
not on the police to prevent crime because of that's more of a societal issue. And when we go to whether we want to talk about capitalism, whether we want to talk about us in voting and making sure that we vote in proper ways in which it incentivizes resources to be able to be put into inner cities or whatever like that, that's more so that issue.
I
If
agree with
we're
that.
talking
I
about
agree with
police
that.
killing
I agree with that.
black people, that's a police issue again. But the antecedents that led for this person to actually commit a crime, if a crime is being committed, and that's what we're talking about, not being falsely accused, if a crime is being committed, that's not a police issue. That is a societal issue.
Right.
And we have to have those are separate conversations
I get
that we
that.
shouldn't blend.
I get
Okay.
that. I definitely get that. And I ain't saying, but what I was saying was the police, how it's formed now is detrimental.
And that's the reform. And we agree on this.
And instead of, but what happens a lot, instead of them actually fucking sending money to certain neighborhoods, they'll put up them big old police towers and act like they're doing something in those communities.
Bro,
I don't think that those towers
You know-
cost that much to where whatever that tower cost would have made a dent inside what's fucking happening in West Charlotte on Betty's Ford Road off LaSalle. To be real.
Yeah,
Like that, at most that may be $2,000.
Well, I'm not saying that's supposed to design, but I'm saying there's no real effort to change those communities.
But-
And
But that's not on the police.
Yeah,
Keep
it's not-
going to
it's-
that.
Like
That's
I
not
say,
the
it's
police
literally
job,
on us. Like for
but
real.
what I'm saying is if you take the police out of those neighborhoods, you're gonna get less of that detriment.
No, you
No,
don't.
bro.
They get
Hell
turned
no.
the fuck up, bro.
What?
Nigga, I'm from
you
like,
take
I'm
away
from
the
a neighborhood like
repercussion?
that. That shit get turned the fuck up. When
Yeah.
lawlessness happen, it goes crazy. You want to know what the best shit happened inside my people neighborhood? Them motherfuckers put up what is it? Legit
Barriers,
barriers
yeah.
to stop drug trafficking. And that's when my people ended up moving in and they was able to sustain some level of success with keeping drugs out is when they actually enforce more within the neighborhood. Like the idea of getting police out is a thing. This goes back to we have a bad picture on what is it, the 92, 93 crime bill, whatever year that shit is. Black people wanted that shit.
No,
because
facts.
fucking crime was crazy. That's the reality of it. And niggas were trying to do anything to clean up what destruction looked like. Like I moved into one of those neighborhoods in 98, 96. Whenever we moved to where my people stay at right now, that was that shit. Fairview Home was right up the street.
Yeah.
And they had started doing some of the work inside my people neighborhood to where it wasn't as crazy. But Fairview Homes was the no-fly zone where you didn't go into that bitch because it was lawlessness there. It's like you don't want no level of police presence and shit for niggas that's doing the crime and shit. Yes, you love that shit. That shit sound good. But as people that's trying to sustain the community, you want some level inside the proper way.
Right.
I'll say this because my thought come from. I was watching Joe Rogan last night again.
Joe Rogan. That nigga ain't been inside. He ain't been in them neighborhoods, bro. I was in that neighborhood, bro.
Can I finish? Because I ain't say he did. I ain't say he did. I'm
We
just
just
saying.
throw Joe head quick.
But I fuck with Joe.
I fuck with
Exactly
it.
with Joe.
But I'm saying I took a concept that he had, and the concept was anarchy. And they were talking about if there was no government, the fact, and people think that society would go to shit. But they were saying there's actually a lot of examples of when there is anarchy or there is no government, how people actually act better in those situations and they behave better because it's no big system holding you, it's the actual people that are holding you accountable. And so they say people actually act better when they're
But then how many of
That's what
those
I'm
end up
saying,
inside a
Joyce.
fucking dictatorship? Like we can look
You
at
said what?
Like, how many of those end up in a dictatorship off of the person that ends up pooling together the most power and resources? Like we see that literally time and time again inside countries in Africa.
I wasn't talking about no dictators. I was talking about
No,
anarchy.
but that's what anarchy usually leads to, bro.
Yeah,
I was
that's
talking
too
about
funny.
anarchy. So I was,
No, anarchy usually leads to a dictatorship, though.
And
Like that's
the
what
funny
usually
thing is,
happens. There are examples of that shit, but bro, that's not what usually happens.
490s, dude. Just sorry, bro. 490s.
you said what?
Boxed in. 490, dog. Sorry, bro. It's alright.
No, y'all
But then
y'all got a hole in this
you know
box
something
somewhere. I'll
too,
figure it out.
bro. Something too that be pissing me off, bro. The Democrats come up with the defund the police, bro. Do you not just know how dumb that sounds? Even if you listen to what they're
ain't been
saying.
inside them areas, bro.
No, but they ain't even literally. That's not even.
That's some white lip. My bad.
It's literally just. It's bad.
It's just some bad message.
Messaging. Like it's
I agree.
defund the police. They don't even mean defund the police.
Oh no, I get it. Yeah.
So like,
The messaging
what are
was
you
that
even
It's
saying?
terrible marketing.
Just
Terrible.
right there where you just was at. That's a good point that I wanted to tie all this. I've been waiting for a point to just tie all this stuff together that we was just talking about. Okay, so we got the whole thing with Tyre being shot with the, the whole police thing that would happen and everything.
Yeah.
The part of what I was saying is like, I think a lot of the reason that this stuff happens and they keep showing it of us is because we the people of influence. So the thing is, Joe Biden has been talking about the whole time that he's been in office about a new world order. In order for this new world order to come about, there has to be a breakdown of different systems. I think that's what part of this be about. And I mean, maybe I'm just stretching it out there. If I'm just stretching it out there, y'all can just take it out later on.
Hey, no, I mean, you speaking your opinion. You speaking your opinion, and I mean, I ain't, going.
I think the new world order gonna be something different. Like, I think that's gonna be China.
Nah, they telling what it's gonna be. The WHO is talking about it every time. And during this certain event that happened, the same day that this was going on, the World Health Organization was making decisions about putting us back on lockdown or something. They was having a meeting about putting us back on lockdown for some type of reasons. Not to mention the climate change stuff they're talking about with carbon. If we having climate change lockdowns because we're breathing out too much carbon, that means outside is dangerous. Y'all understand what that means? That's what I'm saying. It's like one thing goes with the other, and I think that's a lot of what people be missing with stuff. We as a community get so caught up, and they use this against us all the time. They tell us, they feed us racism, and they be like, yeah, pay attention to this right here going on, but we don't put two and two together with what's going on with other stuff until it's too late.
I think people in general. It's not even like just us. I think that's the expertise of the way that it's all put together.
But the reason I'm talking about us is because we are the people of influence. The world is influenced by us. So in order for anything to happen, I was thinking about this, and it was just like I ask myself questions sometimes, and maybe y'all can answer this for me because I couldn't think of an answer. When has there been a time in history where black people was actually in agreement with something like, nah, we ain't going for that it happened? Anytime I've seen black people, even in my lifetime, just my lifetime, anytime I seen a group of black people be like really like a whole big group of black people in general, just agreeing with each other, like we ain't going for that, it don't go down. I can't think of any times where that was the case. Like where there's a case where like we didn't agree with something where it did happen. What they have to do is they have to convince us. And if we not sitting there saying something wrong, then the rest of the world not looking at it either.
I won't disagree. And I mean, I couldn't really tell you some shit that we was all like on the same page with. I ain't really. Maybe I don't know if y'all remember a thing that we was all on the same page with that just didn't happen. I mean, just the same page.
Didn't happen.
What was a page? I can't think of a page.
I don't know. I think that's one of those specific things that I would need to sit and think. It might be one that's easy to grab and it might not, but I know right now I'm not able to.
Even if you just think about like just within the people that you've known in life, when you seen a group, when y'all got a group of people together and it's like, nah, we not going for this. Anytime I've seen it, just in my regular life, when we say we not going for something, it don't happen.
Got you. So extrapolate that out to the bigger point.
Basically what I'm saying is like I said, we the people of influence. So in order for anything to go down, they have to we have to be the ones who allow it to go down. So if they want to get rid of the police, for instance, they have to convince us to get rid of the police. We have to put up the fight for that. They have to convince us to make the fight for that.
Okay, and I guess you're going, and so if we take that step back, kind of,
Okay, so if we take a
you're
step-
speaking like New World Order, and you think that
Okay, so
within
we
the
see
New
this
World
stuff-
Order that you believe that the idea is that they don't want police.
They are going to change up policing and everything, but okay, so this is what I was saying basically. Everything goes together. So now we got to bring in the whole part about like the AI dogs and the AI lawyers and the AI law enforcement that they're trying to bring into place. In order to bring that into place, you're going to have to eliminate this system of law enforcement, and we're going to have to voluntarily agree to be enforced by some AI. We're going to voluntarily agree for this stuff. This is what's happening in life. We're voluntarily we're going to get rid, they're going to use us to get rid of police, I feel like. And we're going to voluntarily bring in something worse, which would be like the AI dogs or whatever that's going to be getting the law because they don't make mistakes. They AI, they robot, whatever.
Okay, let me ask you this: if they don't make mistakes, how would it be worse?
I do believe they're gonna make mistakes, man. I'm just saying this is the like I'm being kind of sarcastic. Like, you know, the theology that they're gonna put out is that these don't make mistakes. These are robots. They're trained to do such and such and so and so. That's what.
But you don't think? But you don't think a robot would have less implicit bias than like a cop?
I personally don't agree with no robots being in charge of us. I don't agree with that. But I'm saying that's where I think the world is going to. Is going to a place where we're like New World Order means a whole.
All right, so
I'm just saying.
So hold on.
I'm saying what you think would be better though. Like I'm saying, police make mistakes.
Hey Johnny, before you go into it, I think might as well frame this into a question. In which, so branching off of the Tyre Nichols killing, I think that what you're bringing up would be an interesting concept, in which he's saying would push an agenda, and that concept is the idea of automating policing, in which it takes away the human bias of it. I don't know. What do you?
I'm saying if we're complaining about the human bias in policing now, taking that away, how would that be worse?
Okay.
Because we're complaining about the human.
Do you think that there's bias within automation? Do you think there's a bias within tech? Do you think that there's racism within algorithms?
I think there's less.
No, that's it right there. Do you think that there can be racism within the algorithm?
I think that's tough. I mean, how would you program racism into?
Because if the thing is thinking,
so I guess I can answer you. Because of this. This is
they've already kind of
but I'd say this is a conversation that is consistently happening. So if we just look at, I think that a concept that I've seen spoken about within like the tech field would be even dating apps in the algorithm. It prioritizes specific features in which like that is promoted within the algorithm, and so that if you don't present specific features, because the algorithm is working off of efficiency, and if you don't like if certain features are not as efficient, then you're not going to get the same growth.
Let me give you another example. I'm going to give you another example of exactly what he's talking about. Because they had a study. They had a study that they was talking about. They use it for hiring, same type AI system, and they're using it to pick the best candidates. And they literally found racism within the algorithm that's picking these candidates. Now this is a fact. Like they literally had the system and it, you know what I mean, lawsuit and everything going on because of this algorithm is literally picking.
That's actually the better example of the two.
Even TikTok.
I want you to kill my point so I can share.
That's the better example of the two.
I'll go ahead and kill my point. I want to hear your rebuttal.
I'll give you because a dating app is all about people's preferences. So if you got more white people on the app, of course the app's going to show white features is beneficial because it's more white people that.
But that doesn't take away the fact that would the algorithm prioritize the race.
But it prioritizes majority.
And that majority is what? Say the word.
But it's not. It's not racist. They're not picking white people because they think white people are better. It's just it's a thing.
Literally, they're picking white people because what they think white people.
Because if it's an app,
let's extrapolate that. So you're
saying if you had an app with all black people, and you put an algorithm,
that would be a different algorithm, and that still would prioritize race. Still, like I don't see if we're saying better, meaning efficiency, and that's what it's doing. And that's how it's picking. It's a literal straight line, Johnny.
I don't agree with that. But.
All right.
My nigga, I don't care, bro. I don't agree with it. Stand on it. Stand on it.
Oh, necessarily, but I ain't got time to get into it.
There's no way to get into. That's why you're gonna just brush it up. My nigga, I lined up a non-rebuttal
I ain't
space.
got time to get into it because I had one more that I wanted to get into.
All
I think
right.
would be a little more efficient, a little better for the
Little boy
people just in
efficient.
general. But it was just talking about. It said research shows that black people suffer from PTSD from watching videos of black people being killed by police. It's a phenomenon called link fate, where we see ourselves and our loved ones in the place of the victim. So it says just be careful watching the Tyre Nichols murder video and protect your mind. And
My bad. Go ahead, bro.
well, that's just
It just
kind of
pissed me off again, bro. Because let me just get this off. Let me just get this off. And I'm not saying that this is comparative as far as someone in real life dying, but we're literally sitting watching people die and get killed on shows, the most popular shows that niggas is watching. You know what I mean? The music that niggas is watching. So you've literally, you're gonna talk about this killing that happened in real life, which I get it, which is, you know what I mean, disgusting. At the same time, the same people that's watching the video, you're watching it on the TV series you watch all day. You know what time it dropped consistently. You talk about it all day. You did listen to the music all day.
but that's why people want to watch it.
Exactly.
That's
It's like
why
we've
they
literally
want
putting
to
that
watch
into
it, 'cause they
ourselves
have
nonstop.
programmed, because we are programmed to watch black people die, and that's why a lot of people find it so hard to not watch that shit. Is because
Crazy.
that's what the fuck they used to seeing black people do on TV.
But I can't lie though. It was actually crazy. What I find it dope. It kind of it talks about the level or our sense of morality amongst just our group, because I knew I wasn't watching it when you know what I mean. I knew smooth off. You know what I mean. I done opted out for a minute now. But then when I hit Q and he's like, I'm sitting here because we was gonna talk about it, and I'm like, okay, did you watch it so you can tell me, you know what I mean, what happened? And yeah, nah, I'm not watching it either. And I'm sitting here like, I know Johnny gonna watch it. He'll be able to tell us tomorrow. And it's like, yeah, I didn't watch it either. We got toned. Nope, I didn't watch it either, because you can see as a collective, like, it's not just an individual thing. You know what I mean? I ain't saying that nobody, the people that are better than anybody else or anything like that. But there's a link
It was a
consciousness.
certain awareness that we have of what's actually happening,
That's
and
crazy.
it's like, why would you put yourself? Because it's shit like that be triggering, bro. Like shit like that'll fuck your whole. Like I'll watch something like that, my whole week will be thrown off because I'll just be in a space of just feeling bad for the person. Then that comes with that link fate thing. I'll start feeling bad
For
for
the family,
myself,
you got to think
my
about the
family. I'll
family.
be like, damn, that could have been me. I done been in that situation before, and then like you said, it's that link fake shit, and because especially I consider myself an empath. Like I empathize with people's shit. So if I watch something like that,
Yeah, for sure.
I'm gonna internalize that. I'm gonna bring like all that shit. It's gonna be heavy for me.
Yeah,
It's
me
gonna
too.
throw this shit gonna throw me off. So that's why I just didn't watch it. But I think that's something that's important too, as far as black people. We got we can, I think it's good conversations we have about the policing and stuff. But I think one of the bigger things is like y'all said is it ain't on the police, it's on us, and that reprogramming got to start with us. And like one of the bigger things as far as doing that reprogramming is, hey, this video, no, that's not it. That's like why do us as a people feel so compelled? You
To
can go to
watch
the protest without having seen the video. Like you ain't
and yeah,
like you ain't gotta watch the video, but like the fact that the video dropping, it's gonna get millions of views. Like
and
what that say about us?
and the crazy thing is, like, they give it to they know that it's so popular for people to watch that they even put it in different timestamp increments. Like they got a minute and 39-second one, they got a 5 minute
They knew
one,
this
they
shit was
got a
going viral. That's why they had buried. They was like, hey, look, we better drop the video.
yeah. And then
Y'all
even
be
the police
cool.
chief, she said, like, they talked about the time, the day, everything they came up with. And then the dude was asking them, so did y'all ever think about the fact that, if you release it Friday night after at 6 p.m., the riots, you know what I mean? Did you think about that part? Did you think about the fact that it's the weekend, so everybody will be off and everybody will be able to attend said riot or said, you know what I mean? And they said the lady literally said that they thought about all of that. She said that they thought about all of that, and they felt like that was just the best time to do it. And so, man, it's a lot of layers to it, but I think that again, like this is a very disturbing. It was disturbing, like you know what I mean. I ain't gotta watch it. I can literally just visualize. I've seen enough of it. You know what I mean. So I can literally just use my imagination and still get the same emotion. But I can tell you one too that affected me even worse. Like I ain't gonna say that affected me even worse. But when Nipsey got killed, I watched. That was no matter of fact. I thought it was Sandra Bland, which she didn't get killed on camera. But that was the last one that I watched of like the police on. But then watching Nip John, it was just like, man, that right there was another one that affected me. And it's not necessarily the dynamic of the police, but just us amongst each other as well.
I agree. I think especially bringing it to the Nipsey perspective and just generally watching Black Death on film, I think that it is a negative connotation, especially like real Black Death. I don't want to really get into the weeds of like entertainment and film and different things like that. That can really like broaden the conversation. But if I just go to watching, I personally don't watch Black people being murdered in real life. I just don't really have an interest in it. I'll listen to commentary that deals with like the before, the after, and like even if somebody's speaking about what happened, I can listen. But I know that I personally don't want the images of what really happened inside my mind to be seared inside permanence. To know how a person had died and see a person's last breath. It's not. I'm not interested in trauma porn. It just is what it is. I'm not interested in murder porn. Like in any of these versions of things in which like you get a dopamine hit off of watching a real live murder or anything like that happen. Tone, I think you had something.
Yeah, I was about to say, because I was about to make this point a second ago, but I just thought about it. Like even with this whole thing with Tyre, in the case of this is one of the times where the officers actually are not on the streets. They're not. They instantly got locked up. They instantly were charged. So it was like kind of part of this to me was like, what was y'all purpose to showing this? If it's to evoke protest, what protest is it trying to evoke when they're already locked up? What are we protesting for? Necessary, like. That's kind of what the nuance here that we're kind of missing.
I would say I don't. Well, I mean, I'm not saying that it ain't better for them to be locked up immediately, and then you can say, is it because they're Black and all that stuff? But I mean, the protest would literally be for the reform.
Yeah, I guess I can see that. Yeah, I guess that's
I
a
like.
good.
490s.
I ain't got no pushback on that one. Did anybody else have anything? I don't know. I want to make sure everybody get everything off their chest. Before we switch gears a little bit and go into a positive takeaway.
I don't specifically. Tone, you got anything?
Nah,
Any other
man, I
commentary?
actually feel like we discussed this pretty well.
Real?
Man, let's do better, man.
Yeah.
Let's do better.
It sound like a positive takeaway right there.
Let's do better.
That's some positive shit.
I'm a positive guy. You know what I mean? Definitely exactly what you would have said.
That was a
I'm a
Newtonism.
positive guy. It's rubbing off on me.
Hey, I'm glad, man. I'm proud of you, bro. I'm proud of you. But I wanted to do it. It's been a couple weeks since we did it, but I wanted to go into a positive takeaway. I actually had two of them. First one I'm gonna say is just for Black people. I'm gonna say just be free and be happy. Just just don't let nobody put you in a box. Don't let nobody put any social constraints on you. Just be free and like also be happy. You gotta find happiness.
Oh, let me
trauma over
hey, hey, this man been climbing in boxes talking about somebody put you in. Well, don't let nobody put you in. But what about the ones you climbing in though?
Hey, they don't exist neither. Them boxes, even if you quote unquote climbed in it, that shit doesn't exist neither.
You mad that Becky put him in that box he was talking about?
So Black people, you see what they doing? No, this is a perfect example. Be free and be happy. Don't. You gotta just put your blinders on. You ain't gotta worry about the
Run your
distractions.
race.
Tunnel vision.
Be happy, and to the be happy part is you gotta find joy in this world. You can if you can't find joy in the snow, you're gonna have less joy in life and the same amount of snow. So it's like you gotta no matter what life give you, you gotta figure out how to find happiness and contentment within the cards you're dealt. You gotta learn how to play them, and it ain't about what happened to you; it's about how you react to it. So that's all I got for my positive takeaway.
One, I was fucked up, Johnny. You stole my positive takeaway. I DM'd you that shit, and all.
Oh yeah.
That was fucked up. You a dog, bro.
I was sitting over here thinking like, man, he dropping over here. Like, man, I really appreciate
Nigga,
this
dog.
positive takeaway.
Anyway, that was all.
You ain't come up with it. You posted it.
all me.
You see how a nigga do? But nah, I threw mine to I don't know. I'll just draw to yesterday. I think positive takeaway. My son, he's at he's 8th grade going. He'll be going in the 9th grade next year. But seeing him go through like the stages of evolution is always fun and hilarious. In which yesterday, him and his homeboy they got dropped off at the skating ring and shit like that.
Uh-oh.
And
Little
like
girls
that, like
come
they
in.
did their own little thing and then came back. And it's always like it's fun when you could the trigger words to ask little kids and they gonna like light up like a bulb and then get into it. Or
It was
whatever.
girls.
Right. All you gotta do is like, and like teens and kids, they naturally gonna be quiet until like you like get that thing out of them. Like said, I can walk downstairs and they all in from like, and neither one of y'all get no numbers or something like that. And they like,
Yeah.
nah, listen, he, and then and seeing that like just that reminder of youth. And
man.
like the first times and going through those new experiences and stuff like that is really amazing. And like I know like right now I'm trying to make sure that even I take the time to enjoy the stage that he's at. And I tell him to, hey, right now is a good time to make sure that you have these moments. Make sure you build friendships because these are moments that you're gonna remember forever. Like that time me and you went to the skating ring and we both talked to these two girls and that girl did this and that the third, and like this is stuff that today we still reminisce about moments that happened in high school and middle school. And these are those moments that what I mean, like take the time to appreciate and enjoy. And even as me as a father, take the time to embrace and love these moments with your kid. So that's my positive takeaway.
Tell that man don't settle for the IG. You gotta get the phone number.
Oh yeah, now they
yeah,
phone number
yeah,
boys. They know the game.
Nah,
I'm
that's
proud of
dope.
them. Them boys,
That's
they out
dope.
there.
Dang, and then you know what I just thought about?
And hearing
Like,
them, which reminds me of a earlier conversation that we was having, but like hearing them talk about like their approach to like talking, going up and hollering at a girl and talking, and who gonna say something? I'm gonna go like say, hey, my friend. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like hearing them go through those levels of progression is amazing.
Nah, that's dope.
Nah, that is dope. Are you gonna tell them? You gonna give them some tips and tricks?
Probably later, but I think right now they're just finding their way
themselves.
out. So like I think right now it's good for them to just figure some things out.
Gotcha.
Like as they get a little bit older, I'm like in things like high school probably. Like there's little gems here and there. But I think right now, like I remember that time where the thrill was in the unknown more than like like having somebody tell you something and you just execute the thing. Like figuring it out sometimes inside the right spaces, I think is good. And right now, I like him being inside like the figured out phase.
Nah, that's dope. And it's crazy because you mentioned yourself. I was definitely about to talk about my positive takeaway was with Nah. You know what I mean? It's super dope, man. Hold on, man. This, bruh. We talk a lot about the fathers that are present. There's still a lack there. We need to still do better in that area as well. We are doing much better than we were, but there's still room to grow in that area as well, as far as being present. But back to what I was saying. I had you and me chilling with Nah, and it's fun to like take her out and stuff, and she always ends up getting something. Cause I just can't help it, you know what I mean? Hey, but something that's good though. I do appreciate the fact that Like we can go into a store and walk down the toy aisle and she not get anything and she still is okay with it. So that's something that I definitely, and it was something that naturally she's just okay with it. So and not, but she do get something a good bit at the time, and that may be why. But it was just dope just seeing her reaction to this, just the small things, right? So it's this little show that she watches, and she wants the big dollhouse, and my thing is like you're too young to get the big thing, right? You know what I mean? You're not even going to understand it's not going to have real value to you right now. And so, but it's a lot of other little toys from a lot of the other little toys, and then from the same show. But she just like lit up over these little. It's almost like stuffed hamsters. You know what I mean? And she just lit up over them Jones like it was, bro. It was just a beautiful thing to see, bro. Like I literally like it was very beautiful to see. I appreciated the moment.
No,
And I think when you
fun.
can, it's good to do.
Yeah, no, for sure, for sure. That was really nice to see, bro.
No, that's fun.
And it was cheap too. It was cheap. And oh, what up, Tone?
Oh no, I was about to say I got a positive takeaway off of yours a little bit, just kind of going along the same lines. I was about to say, and I was already sitting here thinking of it, but I'll word it like this because I like the way I was about to word it, but I don't think that. Okay, what basically I was thinking was like, there's nothing wrong with corny, and like, and the reason I was thinking about that is so much stuff that we be told in life is just corny and all that stuff, and then it's like, especially when you're young, you be trying to be cool, and then you get older, like I said, I've been telling y'all, I've been watching Power Rangers for weeks. Like that's been my thing for like some weeks or whatever. But when I say like it's really making a difference in my mentality, just because of like, for one, it's a lighthearted show. It's just kids and everything. But there's so many other messages within the show talking about like positivity and believing in yourself and everything. So it's like I'm just having this plan in the background while I'm working and everything. But the effect of just watching this show has had like a positive effect on my mindset as far as just keeping me in that place of like, yeah, believe in yourself, you can do it. Like where I've been catching that. And it's just like, like people sit there and tell like my roommate, whenever she sees I'm watching this, she be like, you corny. I'm like, yeah, I'm not corny for watching this. Like like I'm not corny for watching this. This is just something I like doing. So it's just like, I think like just paying attention to those little moments, those little things that like other people might not find that important or that they might be like it's corny. I think that's the best thing. I think that's important too. So, that's my positive takeaway. Yeah.
That was dope. That was dope.
Q?
Well, I do think before we completely end it, I think this would be we are inside like a segue session of season 2 where we've had a couple guests,
For sure.
and I think like maybe a good little reflection space before we completely tap out. Make it as quick as we can, but of where we're at, where we've learned some takeaways and non-takeaways, maybe. Which I think. How do y'all feel about where we like the interviews and the conversations we've had so far in season 2?
No, I think it's been dope. And I've taken a little bit away from all of them, especially last week. Marquette really dropped some jewels, especially about
Yeah, that's my guy.
the why
Yeah.
and the why people are acting like that. That's actually something that like I can already see an effect on like how I'm operating within like my own personal relationship. So I think that's the reason why we wanted to have guests on, and that's the reason why we wanted to dive into these different series as far as just to hear other people's perspectives. We sit and talk a lot of shit together.
Right.
We be together a lot, but to hear other people come in and hear their dynamic and be able to hear their story and their why, it's really refreshing. And like I said, I've actually taken a lot from the last 3 weeks.
Yeah, I think for me it was actually it was a relief to get a break from doing so much talking to, and just being able to listen. Especially about the type of conversation. Those are two of my favorite conversations when it comes down marriage and being a black father. I'm still fairly new to the fatherhood space, so it's like so much I can, just information and different, places and ideas that people have. I'm an open book when it comes down to it. So it definitely was a beautiful thing as getting, you know what I mean, some like-minded or similarly like-minded black men, because I think we all have our own nuance And there's differences, but there's some, the connection that we stand strong on is still pretty legit, like the same. And I guess and I'm learning a lot from productive just relationship conversations as well. Not to be so it's like, I mean, at the end of the day I still have my preference, but to have understanding of someone else's preference. You know what I mean? Because sometimes you can speak with some people and they don't really have a way of articulating it in a way that you can understand. Not necessarily, I ain't gonna try to bash someone's, the way, not gonna necessarily bash how somebody says it. It just may not hit with me the way that I'm understanding. It just doesn't, hit. So it's really been dope to, just to hear the different perspectives and get a better understanding of why it is that your situation is the way it is, or you know what I mean. It's to me, it's definitely dope. Yeah, nigga, you all right?
This nigga crazy. Uh, but nah, I like it. Yeah, no, I think that for me, it's great inside two different ways. Where all in all, the conversations have been fruitful. I've definitely taken something from all the conversations, in which it's either a space that I'm at or a space that I'm trying to get to, with fatherhood and marriage. So for me, being able to gather like my anecdotal evidence of what are the commonalities between the way I think and what works for these people, and if there's some things that doesn't align, being able to look at those things and see like what the fix is, or if there's a fix, or if there's issues in there, being like, okay, what are the workarounds? For me, as much as I love hearing the positive, like I love hearing the negatives and I love hearing the positives, because to me, when I hear the negatives, I'm able to get into a critical thinking mindset where now I can problem solve. Okay, so this is a consistent thing that I'm hearing inside relationships at this phase. What facilities will I put in place to make sure that I can try to avoid that? And then again, when it comes down to the things that are working, okay, so some of my values, these values that I have, are aligned. They work with what I'm hearing works inside relationships. And to me, like those conversations are good because it gives me a plate, like it gives me a workshop to kind of like sharpen my tool shed with. Yeah, so yeah, it's been great.
Yeah, no, I think that was a very fruitful conversation. Uh, I like to ask this before we wrap. I don't know if anybody got anything else to add before we roll up out of here.
No.
Real tone.
Nah, I'm good, man. It's a good show.
All right, definitely a good show. I want to say follow us on YouTube at the To
To
Be
be
Fair
fair,
Show.
show
Follow us on IG and
at,
Facebook at
at the
the
To
To
Be
Be Fair
Fair show.
Show. Like, comment, subscribe, hit the notification button up in this corner.
Ding.
Uh, and I am your host, Johnny P.
Oh, here, real.
It's Q.
And we out.